The 2016 movie 10 Cloverfield Lane embodies not only my most favoritist things and themes from the suspense thriller genre, but it's packed with cleverly placed examples of a literary tool called foreshadowing. One of my all-time favorite books on screenwriting describes foreshadowing as when an object or piece of information is set up in one context and paid off in another. This subtle kind of foreshadowing gives information that at first seems unimportant, but later pays off when we understand its significance. Another book refers to foreshadowing as signposts, which can hint at and justify future events. Another useful thing to understand is what's known amongst filmmakers as the Hitchcock rule, which says that the size of any object in your frame should be proportional to its importance to the story at that moment. In this case, however, I would strike that last part. To me, foreshadowing provides two direct benefits: motivation and payoff. Payoffs are the result of what I'm going to call macro foreshadowing, which is when there's a large amount of time between the setup, or the foreshadow, and the effect, or the payoff. Generally, a payoff will be apparent to the audience. They'll remember the setup and feel in on the joke when it becomes significant later on. While Cloverfield Lane is full of macro foreshadowing, I think the most blatant example is hands down the shower curtain. The first time that Michelle ventures from her concrete room,
your room's a little bit of a fixer-upper.
Howard, her captor, insists that she use the bathroom.
I'm not some pervert, just go.
And because this is a standard issue doomsday bunker, the toilet is in the shower. The cartoon duck emblazoned on the curtain not only serves to release a little tension, but the placement in frame, an absurd out-of-placement in the scene, irresistibly draws our attention to it. However, it's not until 43 minutes later that Emmett and Michelle use the same plastic shower curtain as the key ingredient in their MacGyvered hazmat suit, which in turn is motivated by a scene 17 minutes earlier, in which we learn that Michelle always wanted to be a fashion designer, which at the time seemed like irrelevant character detail, simply there to fill out her backstory and make us feel bad for her. But even 2 minutes before that, we watched her do a pretty decent job of stitching up Howard's busted head, which gives us some motivation for later when we see her succeed at designing, cutting, and assembling a working duck suit. This movie holds many other examples of payoffs caused by macro foreshadowing, like Howard's completely crazy predictions of the cause of the attack that landed them all in the bunker in the first place.
The satellite logs showed an increase in coded traffic recently, possibly extraterrestrial signals. I bet what we just heard were airborne patrols sent to hunt down the remaining signs of life.
Although, I guess if you're going to bring alien worms into a movie during literally the last 10 minutes, you'd better set that up somehow. The most extreme example begins 42 seconds into the movie. We see this close-up of a bottle, which Michelle grabs as she leaves her apartment and drives as fast as she can away from voice actor Bradley Cooper. Look it up. And for the next 1 hour, 31 minutes, and 13 seconds, we, the audience, are left wondering why we were shown that close-up, and eventually forgetting that we even saw it in the first place. It's not till the very climactic final scene of the entire film, when all hope is lost, that we see that Howard took the bottle from Michelle's car, but forgot to bring it into the bunker. Which is okay, because Molotov cocktails come in handy against giant alien spaceships. The brilliance in this is that as soon as the bottle appears, there's a massive payoff as the audience remembers it, either vividly or on a gut level. To me, this serves to soften and even negate how ridiculous the plot point is, meaning I don't care so much that in the span of 42 seconds, Michelle somehow assembles a DIY explosive and perfectly throws it 20 feet into the air, because I'm brought in on the joke. Not really joke, but you know what I mean. In contrast, micro foreshadowing isn't something that most of the audience consciously sees. It happens casually, but I think this type of foreshadowing is maybe even more important. Now, instead of payoff, I'd say micro foreshadowing gives motivation. An obvious example is when Michelle is trying to escape the bunker after lighting it on fire. We're shown almost accidentally a close-up of this sign, which then gives motivation for a moment 4 minutes later. By following the Hitchcock rule and filling the frame with the explosive sign, this moment feels inevitable. But micro foreshadowing doesn't have to be this close in time. Like this moment.
There's a car! There's a car! I see a car! No! Here!
Now, seeing that car displayed so prominently, both visually and in the attention of the protagonist, gives motivation for later in the film, when the car serves both as a plot device to distract the alien and as Michelle's eventual mode of transportation off into the new world. Sure, the alarm going off could have been the first time we'd seen the car, but seeing it 47 minutes earlier makes all the plot points surrounding it feel more inevitable and believable. We know that Michelle remembers the car and would think to search the woman for the keys to shut off the alarm. This whole movie is littered with micro-foreshadowing. In fact, you can almost assume that anything that is given a close-up in the first half of the movie will come back later in some way. Nothing is insignificant. The paint pole used to hold Michelle's drip IV is used 58 minutes later to retrieve the duck shower curtain from the trash chute, and the trash chute was introduced 12 minutes previously in a close-up and a wide, ensuring that we understand both its use and orientation. The vent in Michelle's room where she lights a fire during that first scene in the bunker comes back an hour and 6 minutes later when Michelle hides her makeshift gas mask in that same vent, followed immediately by, you guessed it, fire. Now's probably a good time to mention that this is a bad robot production, and it's no secret that J.J. Abrams loves mystery.
And what I realized I sort of do in whatever it is that I do is I find myself drawn to infinite possibility and that sense of potential, and I realize that mystery is the catalyst for imagination.
To me, mystery is the perfect way to describe it. Foreshadowing in film is like a detective novel, and the filmmaker's job, like the author, is to litter clues throughout the story, eventually pointing to Professor Plum with the acid in the bedroom.
Hey, Howard, just calm down.
One chance!
Okay, one last thing, and feel free to disagree with me on this. It's a stretch. The shower curtain. It's a duck, yes, but maybe it's more than a duck. There's no actual rain in the cartoon. It's simply a duck looking up into the sky, wearing a raincoat, rain hat, and holding an umbrella. Sort of like, again, it's a stretch, but sort of like it's protecting itself from something falling from the sky. Sort of like it's foreshadowing its own final form as a MacGyvered hazmat suit, protecting Michelle from something falling from the sky. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. This movie is hands down one of my favorites, even though I admit aliens in the last 10 minutes did ruin it for a lot of people. But this movie only has 4 actors on screen during the entire movie, and there's one main set for more than 80% of it, and I mean, to me, that's what clever filmmaking is all about. So let me know what you think of this movie and this video, and I will see you guys next time.